Alright, so I'm excited to see what this one looks like, guys. Little white static in the left corner of the webcam. Oh yeah, you're right. I don't actually know if I can get rid of that. I actually don't know if I can. Let's see if that worked. I think that's it. Alright. Thanks, Gabe. Alright, in the top left-hand corner of the map, in the purple playing Terran, it is Darroweve. At the bottom right-hand corner of the map, the yellow playing zerg, it is Gizmo, representing GRU. Alright, so guys, as I was just saying, so this is the map that has the coffee, all the cafes, of course. But as I was saying, there's this spot here. This spot here. It's this line, right? It's this line. It's really nice for zergs. This one, man. This one's tough to take, I think. So we'll see if see what Darrow did do. Cast with Starlet? I'd be totally down. Oh, alright. Boom is here! Sorry, guys. Oh! I got the yawns. Starlet, if you want to, then I can throw you into the casting thing. But if you don't want to, it's totally fine. I don't want Gabe to put you on the spot like that, Gabe Areno. Gabe. The Discord, just hop into the general, and then I'll pull you into the casting. Just let me know when you're in the general chat. Alright, so but only if you want to, like I said, no pressure. None pressure at all. So everything is normal so far, guys. What, me? Oh, ignore me. I'm just chatting here. Oh, Gabe. Oh, Gabe. Alright, let me pull Starlet up. Hello, hello, hello. Alright, so... Oh, shoot. I can't hear you. Unless, I don't know, you might not be trying to talk yet, but just so you know, I cannot hear you right now.
I just had to take off the push to talk.
Oh, nice! How are
that
you
I'm
doing?
so used to for stuff. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm very good. Excited to see how this game plays out here. I'm so excited about these new maps, Starlet. So excited.
I love all three maps. I think that it's going to add a really new dynamic to the play, and I think it's going to make low leagues and some of the master leagues like really challenged on a lot of the pathing and like what we're going to do in order to kind of counteract how it's going to affect us.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's oh man, I think it's going to make things so much more interesting. Like, okay, the map pool right now I think is one of the best map pools we've had in a while, but we have had it for so freaking long. I'm just like so ready to have new maps, and the fact that they are actually like giving us new mechanics in there is just like I'm so impressed with.
It's definitely like something that I hope they continue to do. Like I hope if these like aren't taken well, they don't just like scrap it and move on. Like I think they just need to perfect it and really like push it forward and add these really dynamic like things to the map to make the game, you know, a different sort of interesting than it has before.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Now, on this one, although it is easy to get to 3 bases, base 5 or 4 and 5 are iffy for Zerg, because I know like getting up there in late game Terran and late game Protoss, if it gets there, the 4th and 5th are dropped down, which means you would have to be trying to bring units up And if you can't secure that very well, I don't know how that would work for Zerg. Or you would have to like expand towards your opponent, which is also not a really good idea.
Yeah, it's true. I was thinking about that. Like, yeah, 3 looks easy. The 4th is where it's gonna get weird. I guess I would just take the one that's in the line on the side and not try to go that low ground. That low ground one just looks like kind of nasty to get.
It's quite awkward, because if you get Terran to get his tanks sieged up here in between the 2 ramps on either side, how do you then come at the army? You would, if you tried to surround him, you would then have to be taking him up a ramp on both sides, and that's not going to work.
No. Yeah, it's a weird one, but at the same time, okay, looking at the potential like triangle 4th, if it's open enough, then I guess you could get some nice surrounds when your opponent's attacking into you. So that could potentially be good, but I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. It's definitely going
to be something that I'm going to look to a lot of the pros to kind of figure out how they solve this solution.
Yeah.
Or if we're going to start seeing like a different type of Zerg play where we hit those really hard 3 base kind of all-ins and
like that
kind of just end the game before we allow anybody to expand.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see, but I'm really curious to see where Darrow and Gizmo take their bases in this game right here.
Yes.
I'm not sure Gizmo is expecting battle mech, but I'm also confused because he's getting +1 range and +1 melee, so maybe, I don't know.
Interesting. That would not be my choice.
No.
But we have this kind of Baneling army against mech.
Oh gosh, that's actually was a fantastic surround.
That was great connects there.
Yeah. He set that up like really, really nicely there.
That was nice. I like to see there is such a wide pathing here that he was able to kind of go out and around as they tried to push up the map and really got a good surround and connects there.
Yeah, I really like that area. Like that area at the triangle 3rd. Just because it's so open. And honestly, just most of this map feels so open.
It does.
I like it.
Open and exposed, but then, still these tricky, tight turns and corners. I'm excited to see how this plays out.
Yeah, me too. All right, so the 3rd base, Darrow just opted to take the line, the straight line 3rd, the vertical 3rd, I guess is what it's called, and
Gizmo's taking the vertical or the straight line 4th.
Yeah.
He's taking the low ground here.
So, okay.
I like that he has creep spread all the way through. There is quite a gap between the 3rd and the 4th of that he's taken, and having that creep spread there is really going to be quite important in order for him to get his units moving around effectively.
Yeah, okay, so looking at the at that 4th base now that Gizmo took, you have like that ramp. That ramp is so nasty to cut off reinforcements. Like
yes.
when the Terran's attacking into that 4th. Okay, yeah, this is interesting. I'm just it's all like new and exciting.
No.
I'm trying to figure it all out. But all right, looks like Gizmo's heading up to Infestation Pit, which infestors are like, I've realized more and more infestors are like amazing units. They are just incredible. The value.
I've only just gotten used to mutas, so I think infestors should be next on the list. I keep seeing everybody use them, and I'm quite enjoying what everybody's doing with them.
Yeah.
We do have this Hellions coming in up through the top at the same time that we have an attack coming on from the bottom with the Cyclones. It's going to be some...
Oh my gosh, he's going to get the surround.
Oh, is he going to get the complete surround of these Cyclones?
He does.
That is a very effective surround.
Ooh, that is very, very nice for Gizmo. Darrow almost got like the biggest drone roast ever, but I think he was looking at his Cyclones instead of his Hellions, which is so sad.
I think that was an effective attempt. I really liked where those Hellions came in. It kind of zipped across. You could catch that 4th if it was there, and if it wasn't, you were going up the ramp right into the 3rd with those exposed 3rd base drones. I really like the pathing he chose. I just think that this was a little bit of unexpected getting that surround on the cyclones.
Yeah, definitely. So is Gizmo just gonna smack this wall down? And is kind of looking like he was thinking about it, which I don't think is a bad idea.
I would not take it on that ramp. I would come up here through the high ground off to the left more.
Yeah, but even just like pulling half your army over up to the high ground and then part of your army, half your army down to bust that ramp, I think could be.
Yeah, maybe
like a little surround. But...
take it on both angles. I think that would be quite interesting. I do like that the two high grounds on either side of the map are not connected in the middle. I think that would just make things so awkward. There's that gap that makes you have to go up and down the ramp if you're going to come all the way out and around.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. So, it's so interesting. Ling Bane as like the counter to the battle mech style right now. Because, okay, so originally I think when battle mech was first happening, I feel like people were mainly, like they were going really heavy on the Hellions and not as heavy on the Cyclones. Still heavy on the Cyclones, but not as heavy on the Cyclones. But then I think what happened was everyone started not going Ling Bane against it because it was so Hellion heavy that they started going heavier on the Cyclones, not as heavy on the Hellions. And then it's making Ling Bane actually like a viable response.
It is. And I think Ling Bane is so effective on the response because if you try to go, you know, next tier and you go mutas, you have all these cyclones in there and they're just going to completely evaporate any kind of ability to get that tech up and running unless you can do it completely blind to your opponent.
Yeah, that's so true.
Any scouting whatsoever on the mutas is going to be completely shut down by the cyclones. They'll push right through them.
Yeah, oh no, but this is, that's an example of how you don't want to engage this with Ling Bane. Oh my gosh, the fungals!
No, don't go back through! Oh, those liberators!
The fungals! They're good, but I don't think they're good enough. Oh gosh.
I don't think it's quite enough. He's gonna hold on through.
I mean, like, he actually cleaned it up. Oh my gosh.
It wasn't too terrible. I'm not sure who came out on top on that exchange. But it's very interesting to see this pathing bring him up and kind of split you between attacking on the two sides. But I think if we would have had liberators spanning the gap on either side of that engagement would have gone a little bit more in favor of Darroweve.
Yeah, that's true. But then at the same time, like, liberators against Ling Bane is not... it's not that great, you know, because like, they just don't...
They may be just a little bit of a useful asset on, you know, having everything split up and him being kind of like not knowing his pathing on this.
Yeah,
and he can pin the army underneath the liberators with his mech. He kind of has the mobility with the Cyclones and the Hellions to really push that Zerg where he wants it to be.
That's true. Now, more Broodlords than I think a Terran ever wants to see, ever, are
this is
floating
the
their
GG
way,
Lords.
Yeah, swimming their way across the map right now.
But these Lords are all on their own. There is no one to protect them. Do we have any upgrades on them? They are 0/0 Broodlords.
Gizmo has a really bad habit of making like just a ridiculous number of Broodlords and thinking he's gonna just win off of it, and then losing all of them and then losing. It's rough.
Because there's no armor, there's no defense, there's nothing to tank the damage. Anything that shoots up is going to be able to get in here and really do some damage to these Broodlords. Here comes the counter attack. Oh. And we watch the Broodlords melt. We have Thors mixed in there. This is rough to watch.
Oh no. And that's when you realize that Zerg doesn't work the same way as Protoss and Terran, where you can just mass your single tier 3 unit and roll your opponent like BCs and carriers.
Late game Zerg takes a lot more interaction than most Zerg players realize.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, just continuing to roll units into this mech army, I think is just sealing the fate of our Zerg.
Yeah, now maybe these investors, these infestor investors can get some good stuff. With Neural almost done, he can
It is
take
coming up.
control
He's
of
going to
all
need
of
some...
the Thors.
really good connections on those Thors and may be able to turn it around. But with just 3, I'm wondering just how many he'll be able to connect before he's taken down.
Yeah,
that
true.
is quite a mecha army
Now,
coming up behind this.
4 more infestors on the way, so it's not bad.
Okay.
Also, a Hydra Den and +3 missile attack, which is really interesting because if you can get out those Hydras and you get your Neurals down, then I mean you can take you can make a bad fight look good. But as Trigger said, you need to not play Zerg to late game. Not unless you have really good control with 2 different casters in addition to 2 different army control groups.
Yes.
Which is not very many people have good control with that.
Do we have no carapace upgrades from the Zerg?
I think we don't. Yeah, actually.
Interesting. So normally I tend to go a little bit heavier on my carapace upgrades when I'm facing mech Terran, and that is because at least where I'm currently facing on the ladder, at this stage in the game, I add ultras. Because
nice.
They just form this wall in front of my Hydras and everything else to tank the damage as I long range shoot down the mech and kind of keep them at bay.
Yeah.
They're an expensive movable wall, basically. But without those carapace upgrades, I don't think that would help our Zerg at this moment. We have, Ling's Bane still going up against this giant mech. Hopefully these infestors can make some good connections. We have a few tanky roaches, but I'm not sure how much damage this Zerg army can take before it's wiped out.
Those infestors got scanned like perfectly and almost got wrecked.
Oh goodness.
Alright, man, he's got to get the infestors in there. Why are they not with the army?
They are coming up slowly from behind. We're
go.
taking this engagement. The army split, I like that by Darroweve. But it looks like the Zerg is going to be able to catch these Thors on the side here.
Yeah, this is
This
sick
is a big
for
catch
Gizmo.
for our Zerg.
Really sick. And this is where, like, I feel like the ultimate late game comp is just like Hydras, Vipers, and Infestors. Because Infestors, I don't know. They're like, okay, Hydras, they out DPS everything. And if you take your opponent's Thors and make them yours, suddenly you have like 240 supply of army.
Yes. It's a big swing in the supply when you start taking over that Terran's units. And, it kind of, all of his upgrades you're using in your advantage. It's huge.
It is.
Land.
Here we go.
Here we go. Okay, he's gotten a few of them. He's connected 4 of them.
But he doesn't. Yeah, okay. I was gonna say he needs to remember to focus them down once they're. When
there we go. Okay.
And
I held my breath there for a little bit as that almost turned right back around on him.
He just that engagement went so stupidly, ridiculously well for him.
And then he pushed. This is. Oh. I'm not sure how I feel about continuing to push up the middle between the 2 bases.
It's maybe
but it
ambitious.
Seems to be going okay. Yeah,
a
it's a
bit
bit
too
more
ambitious.
aggressive. I would have pulled back and gotten a few more units and continuing to push here with our infestors in.
Yeah, so the infestors don't have any energy anymore. They have like a random, couple infested Terrans every once in a while.
Liberators going up on that ramp. We have some tanks sieging. We're keeping the Zerg busy while Terran is desperately trying to get some army back up to defend this.
Yeah, this is I just I feel like Darrow might have missed an opportunity when he was like way ahead in supply earlier on and he didn't push until later. I feel like that was a pretty big missed opportunity. I don't know.
Now we do have this continuous flood of roaches into the Terran spaces.
Yeah. Now, if you're Darrow, you're not breaking through into the natural there. That is way too many siege tanks. And this many siege tanks, though, is, I think, going to force a different composition out of Gizmo, potentially.
He is taking on this planetary fortress in the 4th expansion. We're gonna see that go down and him clean up the SCVs.
Oof, that hurts. That hurts. Yeah, he's 100 supply down. So, as Captain Undead astutely points out, there are not enough tanks. There are just not enough tanks.
Not enough tanks. He's re-expanding up to the north and dropping some of those. Goodness, I can't remember what they're called. What are they called?
Oh, sorry. Wait, what are we? Where are we looking?
The yellow things. What are the yellow things Terran used to get more resources?
Oh, mules.
Mules. I'm like the horse things. That is not what they're called.
Yeah. That's hilarious.
Mules. I hate seeing mules. I once had a Terran so turtled on 2 bases he ran out of minerals. He got one base down on me across the map that I didn't catch. He dropped nothing but mules and had more resources than I did in like 3 minutes.
It's filthy. It's absolutely filthy. I like horses though. I kind of want to start calling them horses. I like that.
All right, we did see that northern expansion go down, sniped by our Zerg player.
Man, +3
Terran is
Roach
getting pushed
Hydra
against the wall.
kills planetaries very, very quickly. Like,
Very quickly. That always like desperate heal and repair by the SCVs is just extending the death animation.
Yeah.
I feel once you get to this point with the Zerg player.
it's even nastier when there's a Viper to Blinding Cloud the planetary, and so suddenly it's just like planetary literally can't even do anything.
It's just sitting there. The resource income bank. The Zerg is sure floating a lot of minerals, but at this point, he could basically re-up to his max at any point.
Yeah, it's...
And our Terran cannot. I think one good engagement by the Zerg and then a very strong re-max and push again would really take this game and finish it off.
Yeah, let's see. So
He's
there
playing a
is
little cautiously.
48 larvae. There's 48 larvae available, or there are 48 larvae, I should say. And so that means the remax would be very possible. But one thing that does worry me is like this is actually incredibly roach heavy. It's not even like Hydra heavy. It's just roach heavy, which
It's roach heavy. That is a little.
That's what happens. That is what happens. That was 30 supply. 30 supply.
Ouch!
Holy cow.
Those tanks hurt so bad. And this is the point where it gets a little dicey for our Zerg, the Wall of Death. Do we have a Spire anywhere? We do. We do have a Spire down because we had Broodlords earlier. He's bringing out Corruptors, probably to morph into some more Broodlords, which is what I want to see, kind of to take on those tanks. I wouldn't have minded seeing Mutas to be a little bit more mobile as we try to keep that Terran starved. But this composition, I think, is going to work out for him.
Oh my gosh. Darrow did
Terran.
so much with those 4 Hellions / Hellbats.
That was a fantastic takedown by our Terran.
Yeah, and he, like, I think Gizmo was feeling so confident that he was just going to win the game that he didn't deal with it for such a long time. They killed, like, 25 drones, as well as taking that base. Oh, no, but Darrow, with a really bad rally and so much stuff going down here, he really can't, like, lose stuff right now. That's not great.
No. He's swinging it steadily in our Terran's favor. If you give Terran too long, they can really regroup themselves and become formidable. And I think that's what we're seeing with the mobility of these tanks. We have just enough Liberators to kind of help support the movement. And he's containing that Zerg, using his mech to push him where he wants him to go. We are seeing our Zerg army eaten alive.
I'm in shock. I am just in shock right now. Oh
This
my
was
gosh.
a fantastic push by our Terran player, using every bit of his mech to his advantage. These poor Broodlords are only going to get so much done. They're not even attacking the tanks at this point. Running is just going to...
But, like, these Hydras can deal with the Liberators, and the
Okay, they
Liberators
can
are the
push them
only
off.
anti-air right now. But these tanks, I don't know. I don't know what you
pushing up
do
into
right
the
now.
third.
I don't even know. What do you do? What do you do here?
keep them together. I know that he's splitting them off in multi-attack, but I think that keeping those tanks together and just slowly moving them through the Zerg bases and then sniping them off one by one. It's almost like a Hydra push from the Zerg, but instead with tanks from our Terran.
Yeah. Oh man, these Broodlords though are gonna be able to, you know, do a lot, I guess, and clean up.
Not if they're on the other side.
Yeah.
Bringing
oh,
down.
It's true. Oh my gosh.
We do have a few lings trying to cause some harass across the map. It's really only going to get him to pick up a base and not take anything down. But the Zerg went from 7 base to 4.
Oh.
And we have our
Here
Terrans.
comes...
Here comes a matchup in the middle.
Yeah.
It is good that he's pulling those tank backs against these Broodlords. He isn't going to be able to do much with those tanks.
No, and okay, the Viking count's finally getting up to like the really high.
There we go.
To where he can just like one-shot Broodlords, and it doesn't really matter if he loses. Yeah, okay, there we go. That's gonna be the end.
There we go. All right, this tank army is pushed underneath. We've taken down the Hydras. There's not really anything to combat against them, and the GG is called in favor of our Terran player.
That was a freaking roller coaster of emotions. Oh my word. What a game.
They kept us guessing. I think pathing might have had a lot to do with this and being unfamiliar with just exactly where to send our army or where they might be coming from. You can't really static defense against something you don't know where it would be coming from. But there were some intense engagements between both our Terran and our Zerg that swung it either way.
Yeah.
Such an exciting game. I really enjoyed it.
Honestly, like I felt like they both threw the game like twice. That was insane. Those engagements, it'd be like, oh, the game is over, and then they would take an engagement where they just lose their entire army, and it's like, oh, what? Wait, what? No, we have a game.
You know, about minute 15 to 18, we were really set on our Terran player taking it, and then we're like, oh no, the Zerg's doing just fine. He's gonna do great. He's building it up. He's gonna take it, and then from complete behind, we had Darroweve come and just take that game, handle it really well, and end up taking the lead.
Man, yeah, that was filthy. I feel like it's just the overproduction of Broodlords is one of the issues, because like 6 Broodlords kind of does the same thing that 12 Broodlords does, just because the Broodlings have to be melee, right? So the Broodlings start to stack on each other, and so you end up actually not getting any effect from the additional Broodlords. And so I feel like just like 6 Broodlords and then the whole army being together there would have yielded a W
very
for
different
Gizmo.
outcome to this game. I completely agree.
Yeah, that was crazy. That was crazy. All right, well,
Like
well
it.
played, guys. Well played.